guys. Here I've got two parts that broke off a chair, a lazy boy type of chair, and it's been broken for a while. The handle goes on this part, and this goes inside the chair, and it turns a shaft. It's bolted on the shaft, and you can see here that it sheared off this other arm here at this area. Alright, so this goes on here, pretty much like that. I've bent back some of the metal so it closes better, and I'm gonna try to fix this thing. Oops. My diagnostic on this failure is that there's an attempt of a weld down here, but we can see on the square shaft here that there was no penetration, as we say in welding, on this part. They only put some metal on here, and this was not attached to that. So all the torque on the lever arm of this chair was relying on only one weld here, and this piece of the metal of the square tubing. And of course it's gonna break, because just one weld on one side is not strong enough to support all this torque that's put on there, especially if a heavy person sits on the chair. So I'm going to try to fix that. It seems like a pretty simple job. I mean, this is probably 1/16 of an inch cheap steel. My dad's got a MIG welder with some rosin core, flux core welding. Forgot the term. Anyway, wire. Yes, welding wire. Because a MIG welder works by supplying wire to the weld while applying current to it. And it's just going to feed metal continuously. And you can set it to a low enough amperage that it won't burn through this thin, relatively thin steel. And the wire is pretty thin itself compared to like thick stick welding electrodes. So yeah, I'm gonna try that later. Of course, I'll have to clean all of this metal off, all the paint off, to allow for proper electrical contact between all the parts, so that I get a good weld. And I would have liked to use the wire brush wheel, but my dad always puts the key for his grinder wherever. I told him to keep it with the grinding disc, but he never does that. So I guess I'll use the grinding disc and be gentle with it. I don't have a tripod for this, but you can see that I ground the paint off. It's pretty shiny right now, sorry, the light. And I'm using this magnet flex thingy to hold that there for me to put some tack welds on. I am not proud to announce that I finished this project. Like I said, I did not have anything to hold my camera, so I didn't film the process. But it was really cold in the shop. I started freezing my ass off, and so I cut it short. I could have made this better, but I didn't have much like stock material, this thickness, to practice on. And like by the end, I got like a nice little stretch here. I think I dialed like this feed speed right here, and the tension, the current. Then I proceeded to make a big blob, and I was just like frustrated. I think it's because one thing is that I had too thick of a wire for this thickness of metal. And also, I was alternating between the grinder and the welder because I didn't have enough outlets. And I noticed that when the welder was running for a while, it kept itself hot, so it did a better job. And when I unplugged it and used the grinder for a little bit, it got cold, and when I start again, it makes like big blobs like that, and it's crappy. So when you're welding, I think one tip is to leave your welder running because, well, this kind of crap happens. I think like I said, I was really close to have it dialed there, but then I turned it off and messed around, and yeah. So, hopefully, even though it's an ugly weld, it's going to be structurally solid enough for the chair, because I welded it all the way around, and before it was only the front part that was welded, so this should be more than enough for the chair. Hopefully it doesn't break. If it breaks, I'll tell you. Alright, so yeah, I guess I'll cut this here and come back when I have it installed on the chair.